This time it's the Balochistan edition. So I'm here with Carl Za, and when you have India and China, getting together, obviously Pakistan is going to come up. We got to talk about Pakistan. It's an obsession for Indians, and India is an obsession for Pakistan. But we have Balochistan to talk about. There's a lot to talk about on Pakistan, Carl. Maybe we'll see how we do. But we have to start with this a terrorist attack, a suicide bomber in Karachi at the university in Karachi, which killed the bomber blew herself up as a van was coming through, bringing three Chinese teachers into the university, and so they killed the driver and the teachers. And there's like been a lot of weird stuff going on in terms of people justifying this or rationalizing this. It's a good time to kind of talk about Balochistan and what's been going on there for the past decades and why somebody would think that it was a politically appropriate thing to do to target Chinese teachers. Carl, tell me, you've looked into the people that were killed in the attack. So can you tell me a bit about them? Are they I've heard they were basically just like literally like language teachers or something.
Yeah, I mean, some people on the internet are accusing them of being CCP agents. They're literally just Chinese language teachers at the Karachi University. So the all three teachers come from the Sichuan Normal University, based in Chengdu, because the Sichuan Normal University, which produced teachers, has a partnership with Karachi University. The Confucius Institute is the partnership between these two educational institutions, and so the one of the teacher is only 26 years old. She just graduated with her master's degree in Chinese instructions in 2021, and she volunteered to go teach in Karachi. And there's obviously like a lot of people are upset because, especially with people on the internet justifying killing of these teachers, saying somehow they're CCP agents. Somehow they're carrying out Chinese imperialism against Balochistan, and that's therefore they somehow deserve their fate. I mean, it's pretty outrageous stuff.
Hmm.
First of all, Karachi is not even in Balochistan.
Yeah, so geographically, you guys, Pakistan consists of several states. Balochistan is smallest, I think, in terms of population, or one of the biggest in terms of land area. The capital is Quetta. Uh, Karachi is in the province of Sindh, and it's one of the bigger, but not the biggest. Punjab is the biggest. Lahore is the capital of Punjab, and Islamabad is the capital of Pakistan overall. And then there's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa with Peshawar, where it's kind of borders with Afghanistan, and they share the Pashtun language with that part of Afghanistan. So, and then there's the federally administered tribal areas, which is a nice little colonial legacy. Speaking of imperialism, not of the Chinese variety, but of the actual imperialism that Pakistan has been afflicted with. So yeah, like you were saying, it's a very strange choice of target in the sense that like it's not the capital, it's not the army. Like there's a big army footprint, mostly Punjabis. I've heard, some kind of like idea that it's Punjabi colonialism against Balochistan because Punjabis are the biggest demographic group in Pakistan. But then to attack, a minority province, a university, and then Chinese language teachers. So, what is the debate? And are you do I always ask you like how people respond in China. Like, what's the debate or discussion in like Chinese social media?
Well, I mean, obviously, a lot of Chinese people are angry, and they also didn't understand why
Yeah.
language teachers would be attacking Pakistan. And a lot of people in China, they don't necessarily understand the internal dynamics of
Hmm.
Pakistan. So they were wondering, so we thought we are friends with Pakistan. Why
Yeah.
are people being attacked over there, right? So that's
Yeah.
the kind of question that's being asked. Um, and some thought maybe that's some kind of because a result of Islamic fundamentalism, which is not. This is the BLA is a more nationalist insurgency, but people in China, they're not very attuned into the internal politics of Pakistan. So
Okay.
for right now, they're just feeling hurt and wondering why is this happening. And this is not the first time the Chinese national has been targeted inside
Yeah.
Pakistan
Yeah,
either.
that's right.
And
A group of
it's
engineers. Yeah.
yep, yep. And they've been and again, the after this was not a random act of violence. This is right after the suicide bombing, the BLA Balochistan Liberation Army issued a statement. They specifically said we want to get the Chinese out of Balochistan, and this is our message, a warning. If you continue to stay in Balochistan, this is what you expect. But like I said, there are Chinese language teachers not even in Balochistan, they're in Karachi. And the past attacks against Chinese nationals inside Pakistan has occurred all over Pakistan. There were attacks on Chinese engineers and road workers in Gilgit-Baltistan, which is couldn't be furthest away from Balochistan. Gilgit-Baltistan is right on the Chinese border, right? So this is not they're not just targeting say Chinese companies or Chinese national working on the territory of Balochistan. Just any Chinese nationals inside Pakistan is basically fair game for them, and this is in been justified by some Twitter personalities. There was a guy who worked for New York Times. He's a Pakistani exile based in France, and he made this whole thread eulogizing the suicide bomber and quoting Malcolm X and Mao
Yeah.
Zedong. And he was the first. He would just post a picture of the suicide bomber and says. And then throw out these quotes like sometimes you have to pick up the gun to put the gun down, Malcolm X, and uh, see people with power understand exactly one thing: violence, Noam Chomsky. And revolution is not a dinner party or writing essay or painting picture or doing embroidery. You can't be refined, so temperate, kind, courteous, restrained, and magnanimous. Revolution is an insurrection, an act of violence which one class overthrow another, Mao Zedong. And I don't even think this guy believes any of the kind of the leftist ideology. I think he's
Mhm.
at this point he's just basically trolling people, um, and because all he's not explaining how, of course this brings the question: why would you be killing Chinese language teachers in Karachi? How does that even help your cause, right? I mean, the he people are saying yes. People are saying there's problem in Balochistan with the Pakistani state. The
Yeah.
military is exasperating um, the insurgency in Balochistan by their heavy-handed response. But again, they're not attacking Pakistani military targets. They're
Right.
attacking the Chinese teachers, who obviously are soft targets, right? Because it's very easy. Like so, language teachers, all you have
They're
to
just
do is map out their daily commute route,
yeah.
and
And
and then
they
that's
they they teach regular teachers are
yeah,
teachers
yeah,
do their work on a regular schedule.
yep,
Having a class depends on being in the same place at the same time.
yep,
Uh,
and that's all they did. There was actually a video. I saw the video of the bombing.
yeah,
The
me too.
the suicide bomber just waited for their van to come close to her, and then she blew
Yeah.
herself up, and then he blew up the van with four Chinese language teachers and the Pakistani driver. So again, these people, the victims, the four language teachers and the working class Pakistani driver. They have nothing to do with the Pakistani state policy in Balochistan. I mean,
Yeah,
like, and
yeah.
killing them is not going to change the Pakistani military's policy toward Balochistan.
So, okay. I wanna get into this a little bit because, you know, I'm a little reluctant to try to understand this, you know, always in this case where something so senseless happens. Their argument, I think, is pretty preposterous, but I gather it goes something like this. Okay. Balochistan is a relatively exploited province compared to, you know, the average in Pakistan, which is also quite low. You know, Pakistan's a very poor country. They send a lot of their money to the IMF. They've been restructured many, many times by the IMF. I think more than almost any other country. They spend a lot of their money goes to buy American weapon systems. Um, Lion's share of their budget probably goes to those two things. And then Balochistan in particular has had you know, separatist aspirations for decades. I mean, like when uh, Bangladesh became independent in 1971, there was already interest in Balochistan in becoming independent. And there were several big rebellions against Pakistan and pretty brutal counterinsurgency uh, against that those movements. So, you know, and today, like, it's interesting because I actually wrote an article about this, Carl. You know, I was basically arguing that Pakistan should try to treat um, Balochistan more like the way China treats Xinjiang than, for example, the way India treats Kashmir. Like, if there are different models, I was basically saying, like, the alliance with China is a chance for Pakistan to say, look, like, China doesn't like disappear people off the streets and like leave their bodies by the side of the road. Like that's what the Pakistan military is doing. You know, disappearing journalists and stuff. Like China has the re-education camp thing, but most of what they're doing is trying to integrate Xinjiang, right? Like economically and just like make sure that people in Xinjiang see benefits to being part of China, real, tangible economic benefits. You and you know, I've asked you to come on to talk about this multiple times now.
Yeah.
But like the Balochistan Liberation Army, the argument is because the kind of cornerstone of the development project in Balochistan is the Gwadar port and various other projects of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, the CPEC. The idea is that by attacking CPEC, by attacking this kind of flagship of the Belt and Road Initiative and this flagship of economic development, the Balochistan, the BLA can basically prevent, you know, prevent a kind of normalization from happening, so that Pakistan has to, I guess, either choose between letting Balochistan go or accepting, you know, increasing terrorist attacks on China. But the strategy doesn't strike me as very well thought out. But that's the best I can do. Am I missing anything here?
The way I understood it, based on their claims, is that because this, according to the BLA statement, is that because they're being oppressed by the Pakistan military, and because China supports Pakistan, And so by their that makes China complicit in the Pakistan military oppression in Balochistan. So they're hitting China. But again, it doesn't really work because if you think what their goal really is, if their goal is really uh, to end this Pakistan military dominance of Balochistan, attacking China, even if China leave to pulls out tomorrow,
Yeah.
that's not going to change anything.
And I mean, it's interesting because the Gwadar port in particular, I believe Pakistan has offered that to, I believe that's prior to China being the country that's developing it. I believe that it was offered to a Gulf power or the U.S. Yeah, here. I interviewed Pervez Hoodboy for my article, and he said in 1974, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto had offered Gwadar to the U.S. with the view that the U.S. could use it as a naval base. The U.S. rejected the proposal because they already had Chabahar under the Shah of Iran.
Yeah.
So it's also like it's not really China that's like beating down the door to try to get these opportunities in Balochistan. It's kind of like it's a partnership. I mean, obviously China always tries to get like mutual benefit. Um, I think
I,
they're,
th- I
yeah,
think Gwadar is like strategically important because it's sit right on the mount near the mouth of Persian Gulf.
yeah,
But as you mentioned, U.S. already have all these client states along Persian Gulf.
yeah,
They have UAE, Saudi Arabia. They didn't need Gwadar. For China, China did try to integrate Gwadar as part of its Belt and Road Initiative and its flagship project, CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which is to link, to build basically pipeline and also roads to link Gwadar throughout Pakistan and eventually link it with China. But the Gwadar project hasn't really. I mean, the Gwadar port development has been going on for decades now. It hasn't really, kind of um, became like I say international
yeah,
entreport the way they were hoping you would because first of all, Gwadar is in Balochistan, and Balochistan, as you mentioned, is very sparsely populated. It doesn't have the population base. It's not like Karachi. Karachi is a biggest port in Pakistan. It's a big city. It's located in a very populous part of Pakistan. Gwadar kind of sits out by itself, like all the way on the most northwest tip of Pakistan, right? Even though it's strategically important by sitting on the Persian near the mouth of Persian Gulf, but it's not connected with anything. It's so far away from kind of the center of economic activity in Pakistan, and so there's all these kind of problems. But I think one of the BLA opposition to Gwadar project is that supposedly by if by China coming in and helping developing it, they fear that the other migrants from other part of Pakistan might come in, and that would dilute the local Baluch culture. And again, this is all maybe all these complaints have legitimate basis, but most of their complaint is actually with the Pakistani government.
right,
And
right,
and, 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 and China does not. I mean, China only supports Pakistan in terms of building infrastructure, right? Building
right.
roads, building power plants, building schools, and providing uh, language teachers. I mean, I just don't see how that. I mean, some people are saying calling this cultural imperialism because they say, oh,
Yeah, I
uh,
saw that too. I mean,
well, what
it's
can I say? I mean, like teaching kids Chinese language is just giving them a tool. Like how? I mean, to call that cultural they compare it to this one person compare it to Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. They say, oh yeah, so this is exactly what Soviet Union did. They first send in